the folks over at Jaguar have lost their ever loving mind.
Dude, I don't. They hit their head. I don't know what happened there.
Welcome back, period. We've been gone for a little while. We haven't done a
back.
podcast. We've done a couple reviews.
Oh, yeah.
But John, who is right over here, and I are ready to have a end of year wrap up episode. So hope you guys are all looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's we're rolling to an end, people. First year, going strong, man. This has been great.
It is the first year. We are dangerously close to 500, man. We are, almost there.
Come on, man.
I don't think we're going to make it in the next 24 or 48 hours, but
you never know. You never know.
You never know.
Influx of people.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. Did you think you were going to make the transition to automotive journalist in 2024?
No, not at all, man. This was not on my what's happening in my life card. You know what I mean? But
no,
it's been great, man.
It has been great. I will tell you, awesome. It was literally this time last year that one of the guys on your screen literally walked up to the other guy and said, "Hey, what do you think about doing a YouTube podcast?"
Yeah, man. It's so crazy, man. We met and we're like, we just hit it off, man. We were talking about cars, talking about stuff. We're like, dude, let's see where this goes. And and then I kind of thought, when we first talked about it, I was like, nah, he's just talking, and then next thing you know, man, boom, here we are. Right.
Yeah.
And we're a year into it and going strong, man. I love it.
I'm happy about it. To be honest with you, it hasn't really changed the stuff I was already doing, because I was already doing a lot of car stuff.
Yeah.
It's just having an outlet to talk about it more.
Right.
And then
document it more.
It does. Yeah.
And that's the best part, I think.
And it's kind of getting me to almost dig into more of these stories like on a level deeper than I would have gone before, which is super cool.
Yeah, no, and I've enjoyed it too, and we've learned a lot, man. Like I feel like I have definitely grown a lot since this channel started. And I mean, dude, like just the stuff that we're, pinging into, and it's like, wow, really,
Yeah,
love that.
It's definitely super cool. So looking forward to doing more of it in 2025.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about 2024. So
recap, baby.
I want to do some stuff that's kind of like a best and worst list, right? We want to talk about some winners and losers this year.
Yeah.
There's some sad news, some cars that are leaving us this year that we want to talk about. And there's some other things that are happening in the automotive industry, and I think part of it is some stuff that I'm kind of excited about. So let's just quickly talk about the things that we got to do this year that were super cool. And for everybody who's listening right now, at the end of this video, we're going to post a bunch of our favorite moments that will all be kind of rolled into this video. So you guys get to see a bunch of stuff that we've gotten to do. But John and I were able to do Festival of Speed. That was really cool.
Super cool, man.
I've never been able to do that. The vibe was awesome. The setup was awesome. It was really cool to win the Aston Martin award. So,
because I wanted to win that, man.
Yeah.
No, congratulations, man.
Well, you know what though? It's all about like location, right?
You were primo, man.
We really were.
And you know what sucks is I got there early, and you got the primo parking, and I was like,
you did.
Oh, it's all good, dude. That was an awesome time, man. The show was amazing, and the cars that came out, oh my gosh! And you don't realize how many crazy cars are in Atlanta until you go to this thing.
No, and it was pretty
notch.
It was pretty crazy. So that was super fun. And I just liked everything about it. The timing was the time of year was
Even
nice.
The weather was good.
That's what I'm saying. The time of year was nice. The weather was nice. Everything about that was pretty awesome. The other thing we got to do was go to the IndyCar race. That was a lot of fun. Thank you to the Porsche Club for hosting us and being so awesome.
They were awesome. Absolutely.
That was my first IndyCar experience.
Really? Oh man, we go every year, so that's a normal thing for us. Now the Porsche experience was definitely top notch, and that's something we haven't done every year.
Right.
But they really truly hosted us and really pulled us in, and then they did great, man. Like they were really, really cool with the way they took care of us.
Yeah.
And allowed us to give a hat out. Do you remember that?
I
And
do
I hope the
remember
hat
that.
winner is here today watching this, man. I think
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I hope he's watching. So
Yeah.
we actually
That was our
had,
first giveaway.
because Adam likes to go all in when he does anything.
Yes.
So when we first started the channel, I made up some hats and some shirts and got the logo. There's one right there.
Yeah.
And so we had, like, I had hats and shirts, and I brought them to Barber, and I was giving them to John and Jessica, and I was like, here's this. And we had an extra one, and they were doing a giveaway, and I was like, what if we gave away one of our hats? You think anyone would want it? And we asked around, and people were like, yeah, we'd love to have that hat. And I was like, okay.
That was super cool, man.
We gave away the hat, which was pretty cool. You know, it was a lot of fun. But awesome experience. The level of access that you get in an IndyCar race was
crazy,
unbelievable. I mean, at one point during the race, we were standing on an overlook with the cars going underneath us. You know,
do you get that at F1?
No. No. I mean, you can get some really cool access to F1.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, when we were at IndyCar, it just felt like, you know, you had access to so much more, and you could see so much more of the track. And, you know, that's a big thing at Barber. Is Barber's a amazing place to watch anything.
Beautiful place. They call it the Masters of Racing.
It is.
So if you've ever been to the Masters, that's basically what Barber's grounds are like. And it's, I mean, top notch.
It's by far my favorite place to do track days. It's by far one of my favorite places. Just do a road trip to go to the, you know, to go to the motorcycle museum. But what a cool experience! Really, really, really.
Yeah, and it was amazing, man. Just everything on that trip, man. We did the car show, the car corral. We got to see some really cool, rare cars. We went to the museum, got to see everything in the museum, and we got to do the Turn 9 experience, which was the Porsche experience. And then they had unparalleled access. I mean, it was amazing. Absolutely.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, and John and I have managed to do a couple Caffeine Octanes this year. You know, thanks to our friends over at Caffeine Octane for helping us there.
I have done more Caffeine and Octanes this year than I've done my whole time, like going to Caffeine and Octanes. And they really, man, they have turned it up. Like there are more people there than I ever remember going back in the day. And wow.
It's funny because it seems to keep outgrowing the spaces. So it outgrew you know, Windward Parkway, and then it outgrew Perimeter Mall. And I mean, it's big at you know, Kennesaw. I don't think they're going to outgrow it, because right now they're about half. When I say half the parking lot, if you think about the entire mall, they're one side of the mall, right?
Yeah.
So they could theoretically run all the way around to the other side, but I'm feeling like we're already starting to see cars creeping into the other side of the mall, right? So, you know, who knows? I mean, it could keep going and keep growing, and you know, I would love that, because I love to see all these cars. Even I like everything from, you know, the high end like Revueltos and stuff like that, down to some of the Honda Civics and stuff like that.
The JDM guys really turn out now too. Like that's coming back.
It is, and the work that they put into those cars, I used to do that.
What do you think, man?
Loved it.
You think there's going to be a Nopi again? You think that'll come back?
Man, I would love Nopi.
Dude, I would I would get a JDM car just for Nopi. Like I would go buy like a Honda and like go all out with it. Just do it.
I went to Nopi Nationals every year. I loved it.
2025 JDM challenge. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's get it together, man. Nopi Nationals was phenomenal. It was, it reminded me, do you remember the first ever Fast and Furious, and they went out to the race wars.
Yes,
and they're out there partying. They got all the cars. That kind of reminded me of like some of the parties at Nopi Nationals.
I never got to experience it, man. And that's one thing. Like I tried multiple times to go, and I had the car for it. Like my cars were like definitely that style.
Whoa! Time out. You never went to Nopi?
I never got a chance to, man. I was deployed. I was in the military, and I was deployed every time they did Nopi.
Oh my God!
And when I got back from my last deployment, I was planning to go that year, and they canceled it.
Dude, my mom went to Nopi.
Bro, nice.
I was working for an audio shop, and we put like 3,000, 2,000 watts of stereo in my mom's car.
Nice,
And
dude.
she brought it up and ended
Yes.
up placing in the sound competition. Yeah.
Not only did mom show up to Nopi, she won Nopi, bro.
She did. She did.
Love
It was pretty legit.
So I was at the time of like Nopi being big, like the car I was fixing up was my mother's car. So
there you go.
I got you, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
that's
man.
hilarious. So okay, so I mean, unfortunately, there was a bunch of stuff that I got to do this year that John didn't get to do. I went to my second F1 race ever, which was in Miami.
Mexico. Oh, Miami.
No, Miami. Yeah,
and watch Lando Norris win.
I got to see Lando win his first race, right?
And in his defense, he tried to talk me into going, and I wanted to go.
Did,
but the timing was bad for us, man.
The timing was fine for them.
And anyways, so we couldn't make it. And then Lando wins.
Can we bring Jessica in on the podcast real quick so she can tell us what really happened?
No. No.
So you guys missed out on that. It was actually pretty cool. I actually met at that race. I met our friends over at F1 Authentics.
Those guys are awesome.
Quick shout out to Victor. They're incredible. If you guys haven't visited F1 Authentics, go visit them. They've got a bunch of stuff. If you're an F1 fan, they've got a bunch of stuff that's really cool. They've got stuff that came off cars that they've repurposed into lights and coasters and all kinds of stuff. And then they've got, like race worn memorabilia and all kinds of stuff. They're awesome people. They've got really cool stuff. And for an F1 race fan, it may be some of the most memorable stuff you'll ever have because it's from actual cars that have been in the race, which is awesome.
It's awesome. Some of the stuff that they have on that site, man, I'm hoping to put it back here in the next year. So
yeah. No,
awesome.
It's super cool, man. My goal would be to buy one of their racing simulators.
They're sick.
That's pretty much like when I build my house that's going to have like the car guy garage, I want to have that racing simulator in there. It's just cool.
Would be sick. That would be absolutely sick.
So then I got to go to Car Week in Monterey. Car Week this year was a little bit more chaotic. I think the first year I ever went, it was kind of during COVID times. So it was really low key. I got to go all over and do whatever I wanted to. There weren't as many people, but the cars were still really cool. Progressively every year since then, it's gotten just busier and busier and busier. Yeah. I will admit that, I kind of identify as a YouTuber car guy, right? So I will tell you that the YouTuber people have kind of, they've taken over, right? And they've amped it up. And so there's so many more people there than there has been in the past.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's a good thing because it kind of makes it almost feels like Disney World at some point. Yeah.
Dilutes the experience.
But if you're not going to the like the final day, right? If you're not going to some of the, high profile events, there's so much more to do there. And just being in Monterey at that time of year in a cool car is a special experience anyway.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. The food out there is great. The people out there are amazing. So I love it. I will continue to go. I probably will skip the concourse next year.
Right.
And I'll probably skip Exotics on Broadway, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah,
that would be the thing to see.
Exotics on Broadway, the first year I went was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. That was the first time I ever met Christian von Koenigsegg. It was a really cool experience. But this year, there were so many people that you physically couldn't walk around to look at the cars.
So you couldn't even see the cars. You're just bumper to bumper with people, basically.
No, cars would drive down the main strip, and there'd be so many people that were stepping out in front of the car and trying to film it.
Sounds horrible, man.
That it was like a traffic jam getting the cars in, and just so many people you couldn't even really, experience it, right? So it was just a huge. It felt more like an inconvenience. Not to mention the fact I had to park like 2 miles,
a mile and a half away,
and walk over, and I was like, I'm good,
right?
And I will tell you, I ended up running into Christian and all the Koenigsegg guys before the event anyway, so I got to see all all 30 Koenigsegg's lined up next to each other, and I got to spend time talking to them before they were bombarded by all the fans.
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got to go to Mexico for the Grand Prix. That was pretty awesome. I never thought I'd go to Mexico.
Yeah.
So
that was like some of the best food too. Like you said, that was a really good
food
experience.
was incredible. The value for money. Like the food was
now
incredible.
You're talking my language.
Yeah, there you go. The food was incredible. It wasn't very expensive, and the experience was really good. I enjoyed Mexico City. I would definitely go back. And then I ended up going to Vegas for F1, and dude, Vegas was unreal. I mean, now granted, I lucked out a little bit, but it was an event unlike anything I've ever been to, because it almost felt like you were on an island, because during the race, they basically just shut that whole area down because they turned that into the track. And you can go back and forth between all the casinos and do all that stuff. There's a race going on, and it was kind of weird because there were people in the casino acting like there wasn't a race going on.
Yeah. So some people aren't race people. So it's kind of like
there to gamble.
What do you mean? There's a car out there on that's what they were doing. Wow.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. But it's been pretty cool. I found myself looking back through some of the stuff from this year and kind of looking back and going, oh, I did do that. I forgot about doing that.
Yeah. No.
I mean, we went to go visit my son and I went out to Arizona. We ended up at a car museum in Arizona that was really cool. One of the only car museums I've ever been to that lets you sit in the display cars.
Right.
So they have some cars that say, do not unlock. And then they've got a ton. I mean, if there's 300 cars, 289 of them you're able to sit in.
Yeah, I remember you sending all that. That was amazing. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, some of these cars, when you go to like the museum that we went to in Chattanooga, right?
Right.
They had some amazing cars up there. How cool would it have been to sit in that Duesenberg?
Yeah, that would have been sick, man. That thing was cool.
Like it would have been really cool to sit in that car,
Yeah.
And you don't realize some of these old cars, the steering wheel is the size of a manhole cover.
This big, man.
And you got it in between your legs. You're doing one of these going down the road. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it was really cool to be able to do that. And my son was with me, and so he got to sit in some of these old cars that were built before I was born. And so he thought that was really cool too. And it almost gave him a better appreciation for some of the older cars.
Right.
Because he got in like one of the old Ford trucks and he was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I was like, yes, it is awesome. I'm glad you see that,
Yeah, no, it's great. And younger generations, they didn't get to experience that stuff. So it's like, as time's going on, let's get them in the cars. Let's see, let them sit in it, let them feel it, and let's see what's up,
It's, I mean, honestly, it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, when you think about these car museums and stuff like that, yeah, of course you don't want people sitting on these cars. Right. And it's because, or sitting in these cars rather. And it's because, those cars are, valuable and this and that. But when you really start to think about it, you're like, I mean, almost why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Because it's almost like it's almost part of the experience.
Well, I look at it like, I bought the Viper and I never even sat in a Viper before that. Yeah. And it's like, you get in it and it's like, oh, this is all very different than what I expected. Yeah. But, had I not done that, I would have, not bought the car or something. You know what I mean? Like to me, it was just that much better. I
mean, 100%, but there's been a lot this year. So this was my first full year with the McLaren. I don't even really count last year as getting it because I got it toward the end of last year.
3 days, I think it'll be the first year of the Aston for us, the DB11.
Did you get that at the end of the year?
I got it January the 6th or something like that.
Oh man, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're about
3rd.
to exactly. That's
got to hit 1 year of ownership, man. It's going quick.
Yeah, so we got the McLaren. The first full year. You had the Aston this year.
Yeah, you got the Raptor this year.
I got the Raptor this year. I mean, really just recently. We've made a ton of great friends this year. We've done a ton of stuff.
Oh yeah, did the exhaust on the Maserati?
Did the exhaust on the Maserati?
Yeah.
We did our film up at Savoy, which was awesome.
That was great, man. Those guys there, that place. Wow.
One of my favorite places I've ever been. I have a membership there. I go there all the time. I love it.
Yeah. That museum is amazing, and that was an awesome experience. They really truly, sat down with us, talked to us, showed us the way. If you haven't seen that video, go back, check it out. Oh man, it was just really good. Now it was very early on our videoing, man. Like, what were we, like 3 months in, and decided like, hey,
Yeah.
let's do this, and I'd say we were somewhat prepared, but it was new videos, like it was a
It
lot.
was, and we were still figuring some stuff out. Like
That's
we
right.
figured out that on like Chrome, if you've got the camera going, you do one of these, it'll like start popping up all these thumbs up and everything. And I was like,
yeah,
what's happening? So
that's right.
it was pretty interesting. But
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about this year is we've learned a ton. I think, especially myself, I've been buying. I mean, you saw when we did the video recently, I showed up with like a camera bag full of stuff, right?
No, yeah, man. You have dove all the way into videography, and I love it. I love it, man. It's amazing. I will say, if you go back and watch our very first video and then come back and watch
hilarious.
this one, oh my gosh, the difference, man. Like,
yeah. If you go back and watch our very first video, I mean, even in it, I look like a ghost. I'm like, I don't have my lighting all right. I like match the back window.
It was hilarious, man. And that video was our like intro video for a long time.
For a long time. Yeah. For a long time. It was crazy.
But we've grown, man. This has been amazing.
This year is good in some aspects, bad in other aspects, right? So one of the good things that's come out at the end of this year, and I think for car guys around the world can unite in this, is we're starting to see that conversion to full EV get pushed way back.
Yeah,
right,
dude, that's been the turnaround of the century.
Aston was one of the first people to come out and say, look, as long as they won't force us to stop making these engines, we're going to keep making combustion engines, right?
Yes.
Lamborghini just announced a couple days ago that they're pushing back their EV efforts until 2029. That's probably going to get pushed back again, right? Because nobody wants a full EV Lamborghini.
Even the hybrid stuff's not doing great.
No, the hybrid.
I mean, it's really not, man. I mean, look at the Artura. Look at the Ferrari, the
SF90.
SF90.
Well, and the 296.
And they're just not doing great, man. And I don't in 5 years, I don't see those cars' values being great.
Did you see a Revuelto burn to the ground the other day?
I did, yeah.
Sitting in a stoplight.
Yeah, and that's the second one too.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a YouTuber's car burned up or something like that too.
I mean, bottom line is we're starting to see. Even Porsche came out and said we're moving our EV efforts back.
They are trying so hard to put a motor back in their base cars. I promise.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, we're gonna be able to hold on to that combustion engine for a little bit longer. I think that's exciting. But there's some vehicles that are leaving us this year, right? And the one that's on the top of the list, I'm gonna save for the end of the conversation because we need to talk about it for a minute. But anyway, so we're gonna be losing the Giulia Quadrifoglio, which is a cool car that I've never driven.
So I haven't either. But that 500 horsepower, like in a little car like that, and it's a gorgeous car, man. They are pretty cars.
You know what? I thought about buying one for a while, just because I think it's such a cool car, and I think they're underrated. But the problem is their values are terrible.
Yeah. Now I tried to buy one that had been wrecked, and I was going to fix it and do all that.
Yeah, of course.
Hey man. But I did that deal fell apart, and I mean it was because of the cost of parts. The parts were ridiculous.
Yeah,
for that car, and
I bet you could probably find Chrysler parts that would fit that thing.
It was stuff like the front bumper, that's specific, and it's like there's like an air dam that you don't know about that's like electrically controlled, and that was all crushed and gone. And I was like, nah, I don't think so.
So one of the other cars we're going to lose this year is the Chevy Camaro.
Yes.
I've never been a Chevy Camaro. I did like the 69, in the Hugger orange with the white racing stripes. I always used to like that car. So the RSSS, but
ZR1 or ZL1, I think. ZL1. I always liked that. Like that was cool when they came out with it. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty cool because it was like 500 horsepower in a Camaro.
But it's almost like the death. It's almost like the death of the muscle car, man. They're all starting to fade away.
Well, look at the Charger and the Challenger, same thing, man.
Well, and we haven't had our chance to get our hands on the new Charger Daytona.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, the reviews I've seen are just terrible. Everybody says it's too heavy. The EV system isn't done right. I mean, it's just, but I don't know. I'd like to drive it and see for myself.
One review I saw kind of summed it up really good. And he said, basically, if you've never had an EV and this is your first EV, you'll enjoy it. He said, but if you've ever driven like a Tesla or anything like that, this is not it. You know what I mean? Like this is back 2018 Tesla is what they've basically said. So
yeah, I mean, but that's not good. That's 2018 Tesla.
Yeah,
That
not
was
a good that view.
wasn't Tesla's highlight anyway. You know
exactly. But yeah.
So I'm sad to see that go. That muscle car brand kind of fade away with really the only vehicle standing is the Mustang.
Correct. Yeah. And they've stuck to their roots pretty good. Man.
Mustang has no desire to go to an EV as far as we know. Now,
well, they did the SUV thing, but
they did, but
whatever.
And I hate that they even called that thing a Mustang Mach-E. They should have just called it a Mach-E and been done with it.
Jessica says she likes the way it looks. I don't.
I've actually driven it, and I kind of like it. If it was not called a Mustang, I think I'd be more apt to be into it.
Right.
But we're also losing the Ram Classic this year. We're losing the Chevy Malibu this year. Obviously, the Huracan's going away, but that's not really a big hit because we're getting the Temerario.
Which that's a tough one.
We talked about this. Why is the Technica so overlooked?
That's something I was saying too, because to me the Evo kind of set its place, and then it was like the Technica was kind of an advancement from that, but you didn't get it like you did like when they did the Performante and the stuff like that. And it was like, for me, it was like the Technica, and then I went back and looked at the Technica, and I'm like, dude, that's a solid bargain for what it is.
But you don't get a Technica Performante, you don't get a Technica Evo, you don't get a Technica.
I think, and I think that's part of it. I think that's why it's its own model, and that was the end of it.
But let's
and then the STO was there at the same time.
So let's talk about the fact that that's the last V10.
Yeah.
Now they're going to a V8.
Man. Yeah, turbo V8.
In a Lamborghini, man.
Yeah.
And I get that it's got a high RPM, but I'm just not like.
So does a C8.
Whatever. So does a C8. All right.
Yeah, your favorite car.
Fair. I'm. You know what? We'll have a conversation off record about that because I had a moment the other day.
I bet you.
So one of the other cars we're losing this year, and I don't. Flash in the pan's not the right term. I honestly feel like this car came out, it upset the market, it had a great trajectory, and a bunch of people bought them, but they went from being the car that was upsetting the supercar marketplace,
right,
to then being priced about the same as the other ones. And then it was like, well, why would I spend almost 200 grand on this car when I could get a McLaren or a 911 Turbo S, or whatever, a couple of years old. We're talking about the Nissan GTR. That was such a cool car. Now, I will tell you, the new version, the new version of the R35, where it's more streamlined and more sleek looking.
Right.
I'm a much bigger fan of that than I was of the the boxy look. Right. But I've driven one in for like a week in California.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that car. It's a very cool car. It's very quick. It's fun to drive. But for $70,000, $80,000, it was a bargain.
It was a bargain at $68,000 when it came out.
That's what I'm saying.
For that car, it was a bargain. As the market has went on, has maintained its status. And golly, what a platform, dude. The power that they're getting out of those things is just unbelievable.
But now, you're talking about, like, they brought out an anniversary version or something like that, and it was like 170 grand.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
It's like, bro, you get into the $200,000 figure for that car, I'm buying something else.
Yeah.
That's not it. Not a stock version of it. I'll go buy a 2-year-old one and, twin go get crazy big turbos and go crazy with that. You know what I mean?
So here's the thing about that car is it's really crazy, because if you bought that car new and then you and I modded it up, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Right. But then nobody wants to touch it after we get done.
Right. Yeah. That's the issue there.
And that's the same thing the other way around is people get on that car and they throw a bunch of money into it, and they, it's got 1300 wheel.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, that's unbelievable. And then you're like, okay, but nobody wants that car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Then the other car that's leaving us this year, and this will probably help us close out this video before we, give you guys the highlights from 2024.
All right. Yeah.
But the other car that is leaving us this year, and I think it's going to hurt more than most people think, is the Jaguar F-Type.
Yeah, that's a great starter car, man.
It's a great car,
starter car.
Period.
And they had some crazy
supercharged V6.
Yeah.
It's an amazing sounding engine. It's got supercharger whine on it. It's got the crackles and pops from the exhaust when you're going down the road. It's just an awesome car. And the fact that you can get it in a convertible, and in fact you can get it in an R and get it all-wheel drive, get a V8 and all these things. It's a great car.
Awesome platform. I've never driven one. Never driven one.
I've driven a couple of them, and I'll tell you, there's not a lot of space in the trunk, in the boot.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of space in the trunk. It's definitely a weekend car, sort of thing. But what a car, and I mean, it's got racing buckets up front. Even the way, stuff happens on the inside when you turn the air conditioning on and the air conditioning vents come out of the dash, like, they're coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's a really great vehicle. The problem is the folks over at Jaguar have lost their ever loving mind.
Dude, they hit their head. I don't know what happened there, but RIP Jaguar.
Talking about,
simple as that.
Literally.
I mean,
you're talking
can't
about one of the most iconic brands that I can even name. Now, granted, they've been passed around like crazy.
Right.
They were at Land Rover and Ford, and now they're at Tata. And I mean, yes, they've had issues, they've had issues with reliability. Ford fixed a lot of that when they went over to Ford. But I mean, that,
what it reminds me of, and it's not car related, but it reminds me of when Bud Light came out with that can and everybody hated it. And then their sales just plummeted and all that stuff. This is that, man. This is in the car market.
I think it's worse than that, because I've never, and somebody jump into the comments, please. I have never, ever heard of a company, period, a car company, taking a year off and just not selling cars.
Yeah, they're like, hey, dude, we're gonna stop for a year. Like,
I mean, what does that mean for the people that work for them? What does that mean? Does that mean that you just don't get paid for the year, or you kind of laid off for the year?
No, did they completely stop sell cars, or did they just say, okay, we're going to sell what's left in inventory and that's it?
They completely stopped building cars, period.
They're
going to sell what's left in inventory, but if you go around to like the Jaguar dealership that's up that I bought the Raptor from,
right?
They don't have any Jags.
Wow.
Can
you imagine that? Hey, man, so I got some used cars over here if you want to check them out, but new cars, no.
Well, I mean, so it's thank God it's a Jaguar Land Rover dealership, right?
Yeah, so Rover's
they've got all Land Rovers up there, but they don't have any Jags, you know?
Unreal,
and
man.
We're seeing the Jag market start to tumble, which is great. If you're looking for an amazing, sports car, I mean, that's what it is. If you're looking for an amazing sports car for around $30K, you can get a Jag all day long. A V8 Jag,
Maybe we need to add one to the show.
I mean, it's a great car. Hell, if they made that thing in manual, I'd probably have it tomorrow.
Ah, dude, yes.
It's just a great car. But then, so first Jag announces that they're not going to do, they're not going to build any new cars.
Right.
Then they turn around and they announce that that they're, taking the year off and what have you.
Right.
And then we get this rebrand commercial, and it's got to be the worst thing I've ever seen on TV,
bro. They didn't even have a car in the first commercial.
I was just gonna say that there was no car in the video, period. Right, which was insane.
Yeah.
And it was it was like an art film. I mean,
Yeah.
and it reminded me of a clothing commercial. In fact, that's what I thought it was.
Same. I was like,
And
oh, Jaguar is going to start making jeans. Cool. All right.
right. And to be honest with you, the most offensive thing about that video was the fact that they changed the logo.
Oh, and then they did away with the lion's head, which is like the thing,
Jaguar head,
Jaguar head. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm aware.
Ridiculous. Like,
and I mean, they capitalized the J and the G.
Yeah,
and then they
some kind of
did a J and G.
But then the car they show is like, that's not going to be the production car. Like, there's no way that
they
car
came out a few weeks later and they showed us what was possible from Jaguar.
Yeah,
and it was, first of all, Jaguar has been known for the lines and the engineering and the this classic design, and you come out with this thing that looks like a doorstop.
You know what it reminds me of?
The
Fisker Karma.
No, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Cadillac XLR.
A little bit. A little bit.
What's really funny is I'm watching other YouTubers. They're like, look at it from this angle. It looks like a Bentley. Look at it from this angle.
That's a whole car company that's going away, though, is Fisker. They're going away this year.
Yeah, but they've gone away once already. I don't miss them.
Yeah, no, I know, but think about the people that bought their SUV that just came out. That car was $80,000. It's worth 20.
Yeah, but they're dumb. They bought that. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you bought that car and you're watching the show. It was a terrible idea, because
it was a bad idea from the get-go.
Karma came so walk that back a little bit, right? Because the new company is not Fisker. The new company is Karma. The old company was Fisker.
Right.
So it was Fisker Karma, and Fisker Karma went out of business.
And then they made it Karma.
They went out of business, and then they got brought back to life as Karma.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, you guys couldn't sustain as this other car brand.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we're going to make it. And then they didn't make it. No one was surprised. Have you seen the Ocean? The Ocean was terrible.
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, the Ocean
was terrible.
And it was like bad.
No, and if you're looking for an all-electric EV, I mean, Rivian is a much better deal, and it's a better looking vehicle.
Agreed.
Agreed. And
I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry.
But the sad part for them, though, is number one, it went down to $20,000, but they're also not getting any updates from them anymore.
No.
So all the things they were like, this sucks, it doesn't work.
People that are out of
we're not getting any updates. Yeah. So it's like all bad.
Yeah, it's done. And when you think about it, and that's a really good point. We'll have to talk about it on another episode. When you think about it, though, is these new cars, they're reliant on
a network.
program updates, right? And if there's an issue where you can't get it, or there's an issue where you can't do one thing or another, the company goes out of business, you're just done. And the funny thing
doesn't work. Oh, you're waiting on an update. Sorry,
dude. I got an update the other day in the Raptor that updated at midnight or 1 o'clock or something.
Yeah,
and it was to address the windows. And I was like, what's wrong with the windows? They work fine.
The C8s, they did that. They do an over-the-air update too. And there was all kinds of stuff like that would change. Like they even changed like the whole display at one point. I'm like, this is cool.
It is.
And I thought that was neat.
But the thing is, and this is the cybersecurity guy talking, right? to know that they have that kind of level of access into your car and can change that much about your car is super scary. But listen, we're going to leave you guys with just a few memories from 2024. We want to thank everybody for watching us in 2024. We want to thank everybody for letting us have this privilege to share our opinion and do car stuff with you guys.
We love you guys. Thank you.
We do, really.
Truly enough.
And hopefully in 25 we continue our success and we get to do some really cool things. I will tell you that we've already got some things planned. I'm not going to ruin it on this episode. We've already got some things planned for 2025. Yes. I think everybody's going to be excited. So we'll wait and see. And if there's some stuff that's happening in your area in the Southeast, let us know. John and I will make a road trip. We'll come visit. We'll put you guys on the channel.
Absolutely. Yeah. And these are our clips, I guess. Right? That's how we want to end it.
That's how we want to end it.
See y'all on the next one, and enjoy this clip from 2024, and we'll see you in 2025.
See you guys. I love the SL. The SL Mercedes is probably one of my favorite vehicles of all time. and I had an SL300 Mercedes picture on my wall when I was a kid with the doors up. I love a gull wing door. Maybe not on this car, but I love a gull wing door. I don't care.
I feel like it's awesome. At this point, there's too many cars on the market with that door.
Who else has a door?
Aston Martin just brought out the Valkyrie. Guess what it's got? Gull wing doors.
I don't think that counts.
I'm not finished. The Tesla Model X.
No, those aren't gull wings. Those are Falcon doors. I don't want anything to happen to you or me.
Right.
But I would rather, lay a bike down, get up and walk away from it, be okay, and not even look over my shoulder at it. Don't even bother sending the truck out to get it. I'll just go home. I'll start over fresh new with another bike.
Right.
But you can definitely tell it doesn't have that same like
V8 sound.
Yeah,
that's the same thing. I think Maserati with the GT2 Stradale, I feel like they missed a mark, man. They're the best sounding V8s on the market. Throw it in the freaking MC20 for us, guys. Come on, Maserati.
I don't know that the chassis for that MC20 is big enough. I really don't.
Cut some stuff. Look, I just started cutting. Like, let's go.
Guys, this is the same dude who would put like a Hayabusa engine in a smart car. Right? So I mean,
absolutely, let's go. I would do it in a heartbeat, man. I mean,
well, then what's the reason for the extreme drop?
I used to call it. I've talked about cars that'll drive by and you can hear the depreciation as it's driving. I've talked about that. And the thing is that's what I used to call that the Maserati effect. You know what I mean? It's
Is that when this started, or did it start, before that? Or, is this just a recent thing? It was the last couple of years, who knows?
What if they go back and you come to find out that they've been doing this forever? This has been since the start of the safety rating system, right?
Right. This is how they did it. Oscar couldn't get past Leclerc to save his life.
And one thing I will say, the videography for this race, I don't know what it is, but they were not great.
Dude, you were all about the videography, dude.
I can't stand it when it happens.
It's like our third episode in a row you brought that up.
Sorry, but yes. But either way.
Here we go.
Right, yeah, okay. Okay, the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quattrofoglio.
There's no T.
What? It's you're right. All right, the Lamborghini Giulia Quadro.
No, it's not a Lamborghini.
Oh my gosh. Cut it out. That's got to go out.
This is all stated.
All right, Lamborghini.
Nope.
Alfa Romeo. I'm just going off of memory at this point.